How are we? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another deadline stream. It is game week 37. I hope you're all doing well. Nice to see so many of you in for the second last deadline of the season. It is game week 37. We're going to talk about so much during this stream. But for anyone who knows, I am not a Forest fan. But my wife is a Forest shirt. And my wife is a Forest shirt. My wife is a Forest fan. And there has been one man, I was asked, who has been my FPL player of the season. And I think it's pretty clear who my FPL player of the season is. For anyone who's been watching the channel over the course of the year, I think it's pretty clear who my player of the season is. So last year, it was Chris Wood. This year, it is Elliot Anderson. So I finally got my hands on it. I finally found it. He's going to be an England hero at the World Cup. He's probably not going to be there next year, so I'm going to enjoy it before he goes to a team where I don't want to enjoy how good a player he is. So I hope you're all doing well. That is the Forest shirt. We obviously got it. DEFCON again, ole ole. DEFCON again, ole ole. Absolutely. I don't have him anymore. I sold him a few weeks ago. I actually did have him when I found the shirt and ordered it. But yes, to add to the shirt collection, we've got a few others. Hang on one sec. This will test how long you've been watching the channel for. Elliot Anderson is the second FPL hero I have a shirt to commemorate. Does anyone know in the chat who the first one to get for me to order? I should have got Anderson with an E. You're making me worry that I was spelt wrong. Ben Mee is wrong. Dallas is wrong. It would be Ben Mee. That would be a good one. Chris Wood is wrong. There are a lot of correct answers in the chat. It was this hero, Dominic Solanke, when he was at Bournemouth. He scored a 17-pointer against Spurs. And he was just an absolute hero that season. And that was the pinnacle of him being in my FPL team. So I haven't worn it in a long time. But I do have a Bournemouth shirt with Dominic Solanke on the back from all the times that he was in our FPL teams. And then particularly that 17-pointer. And I think that was the season. I finished 500th in the world. I think it was the same season. So I had to get something to commemorate that. Now, I actually have one of the worst ranks I've had over the past few years. But we have to add to the collection with this. What World Cup kits I've got? Oh, they're not in here. I've got a couple of them and I've got more arriving. So we will do that in maybe next stream, because I should have the full order of what I've got for next week. I haven't ordered an England one because I have two old England ones already that you will have seen me wear in my videos. I have got a few arriving next week, which I can't remember what I ordered. I will be doing some stuff with the people who I order my kits from as well. So those of you asking in the chat, you'll just have to bear with me, but follow me on Instagram if you want to find out where I get my kits from. But there's an error where? Oh, Tiago, that shouldn't be. Thank you. So I have got two of them next door. I am big one on football shirts. Nice to wear in videos, just nice to have in general. And that is why we have added Elliot Anderson to it as well. It is also worth bearing in mind, yeah, I am a Chelsea fan for those of you, but I also do have I mean, I actually got some of our best friends are Bournemouth fans, and of course, my wife's family are all Forest fans, so there is slight connections to both of them. And Elliot Anderson and Dominic Solanke are absolute heroes. You hope that your favourite player next year isn't from Newcastle, worst home kit. That is part of the reason that I ordered this, right? I love a shirt with a collar. As soon as I saw it at the beginning of the season, I was like, I like that shirt. And then when Elliot Anderson became a hero... Right, someone has asked in the chat about one of the shirts, so I'm going to go and get it. Be back in a second. So the two World Cup ones that I know we're horribly off track and we're only 9 minutes into the stream. We will do FPL at some point during this stream. But someone has asked me. This is the first one. Oh, Harry's so excited. This is what happens when it's a Friday evening deadline. I'm not half asleep like I am on a Saturday morning. Argentina, their new one for the World Cup. And then the Japan one, which is so nice. The like striped ones. I actually got it in long sleeve because I quite like a long sleeve shirt, because during the winter in particular, I would never wear a football shirt on stream because I'm too cold. I'd always wear a jumper. So actually having some long sleeved ones are quite nice. And yeah, it's a really nice one. So I've got those, and I've got more coming next week. So if someone reminds me on next deadline, we'll talk about that. Is there any clubs you wouldn't buy a shirt from? Yeah, like, and this is no offense to Forest or Bournemouth, but I wouldn't buy a shirt from someone who I thought was more of a direct rival to Chelsea, right? Like I wouldn't buy a Spurs shirt. Like I wouldn't buy an Arsenal shirt. I wouldn't buy a United shirt. Like I wouldn't buy a Liverpool shirt. I wouldn't buy a City shirt. Probably outside of the big six, if it was FPL relevant, like I'm not just going to go out and buy a shirt from any other Premier League team just for the sake of it. Definitely not. But I've got enough Chelsea shirts. But if it's FPL relevant, then every so often, if there's a player of the season for me, someone I think particularly resonates with me over the course of the season, then I might add it. But it would have to be it's a case-by-case basis. Like, do I see myself buying a West Ham shirt as someone who supports Chelsea? Like, probably not. Like, Fulham, maybe, probably not. So, again, there's lots of things. But we are 12 minutes into the stream, and normally at the beginning of every single stream, I say hello to some of you, and we haven't done any of that. Someone wants a Mukiele. There is lots of potential. Again, let me know if you were getting a shirt for this FPL season to commemorate your hero of the season, who would you buy, and what shirt would you buy, and who would you have on the back of it? But we need to talk FPL at some point during this stream. So let's get into that now. Let's say hello to some of you in the chat first of all, and then we will get into all of it. But I appreciate you putting up with a bit of non-FPL chat to start with. Mesh, Callum, Marco, Ewan, Rayship, we've got Fiona, we've got Adrian, we've got James, we've got Yeno, we have James, we've got Duncan, Callum is in, Ian's in, PM's in, FC, Sampa, Vladislav, Adria. Hello to all the members and moderators in particular. Thank you all very much for your support on the channel over the course of the season, as we're not very many weeks away. I hope you've enjoyed the membership. Ozspike, hello as well, and Sam. And to everyone else, we've got FPL Doctor on your 6-hour bus journey. Wonder where you're on the bus to or from. 6 hours is quite a long time to be on a bus. CA, Taffy, Ruben, Fella, Jonathan, Rimra, Azaro. We've got Neil, Tom, Yusuf, Mohammed 97, Jonah, Lewis or Louis, Haribo FPL, Ivy, Gerald, Aidan, Harry, David, Stephen, Donald, Ivy, Forever, Tim, Sling. Talking Wolves. Any Wolves assets this week? We might talk Wolves at some point during the stream. More because we might talk about Harry Wilson. Kevin, Adrian, Ultra, Ian, and Michael. Hello, hello. If you want to understand why I'm wearing a Forest shirt, it's got Elliot Anderson on the back, right? He's the best. And he's going to win Player of the Tournament when England win the World Cup as well. All in all, it's just good to get on board the Elliot Anderson hype before it happens over the summer, right? Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Wade, how are we doing? Nice to see you all in. We're a little bit delayed because we were talking football shirts at the start of the stream. Who did people say they would get on their football shirt if they could order one? There were a few Mukiele shouts. Gabriel, Harry Wilson, Mukiele, Anderson, Bruno, Van Heck. Hinshelwood's a good shout. I like the Hinshelwood shout. He's a bit recency bias, but yeah, I like the Hinshelwood shout. Van der Ven, at the beginning of the season, he was killing my rank. Pascal Gross, Declan Rice, Bruno G, Barco, Thiago. Thiago's been a good one. Yeah, he's been good for a lot of people. Senesi, James Hill. Yeah, I was about to say you can't get a DEFCON defender on the back of your shirt, but I've literally bought a DEFCON midfielder on the back of my shirt. So that is where we're at. Mateus Nunes, Bruno G, Hill, Henderson penalty save. Like, this is it, right? And there will be lots of people in the chat who are very happy with their ranks and top of their mini leagues, but there'll be people in the chat who are not, right? And it is things like this that you look back on and you've got to remember some of the best game weeks that you've had. And I look at mine, right? And there is one particular game week. Someone asked me this on my member stream earlier, which I forgot to set to members. So congratulations for anyone who watched the first 10 minutes of that before I changed it. Which week was it? Yeah, so 22 points was a horrible week because I benched loads of points. It was when Elliot Anderson started playing more advanced and he scored against Manchester City to come off my bench. Which week was it? When did he score against City? What week? Game week 29. One short. This one. Game week 29 was my week of the season. Elliot Anderson, 12 off the bench. Tarkowski, goal and clean sheet. At home to Burnley, 15-pointer. I had Dewsbury Hall, 9-pointer as well. I moved up. I halved my rank in 1 week. It was definitely the best game week of my season. So it is good when you get to the end of the season and you're cross with the game, you didn't achieve what you wanted, to still try and pick out a few highlights of the season. But again, we are still too far into this stream to not have spoken much FPL. But Captain Trossard or Gabriel, I would go Gabriel. I think Trossard is a good pick, but I don't think I've got enough in my mind to be able to captain Trossard if I was able to buy him. Best pick if you can't afford GYOKERS. Already got João Pedro and Haaland. Probably Thiago this week. Crystal Palace at home, Liverpool away. I do expect some goals. So yeah, if you're looking for a forward that isn't Haaland, João Pedro probably is Thiago for the last two, unless you wanted to go Jared Bowen. I'm quite quietly positive on West Ham away at Newcastle this week. I think if you're low on transfers and you're looking to buy players, I don't think there's a huge difference between, people are like, oh, I'm going to buy Dewsbury Hall or Michael Keane this week. But if you're low on transfers, someone like a Mavropanos or a Jared Bowen should be equally under consideration, because the fixture this week is worse, but the fixture next week is definitely better at home to Leeds. So I have even considered doing Van Heck to Keane, and we'll talk about my potential transfer in just a moment. I'm glad people are saying nice shirt in the chat and not why is a Chelsea fan wearing a Forest shirt, but I do have some explanation to it. I completely get as well that some people would never wear another club's shirt, but that's where we're at. You've won your mini league regardless. You're 76 points ahead of second. Yes. I mean, if you want to take a hit to get triple Arsenal and you want Trossard, that's absolutely fine. You should do that. If you're 76 points ahead, you're not going to lose your mini league in the final 2 weeks. They could have 2 chips left to play, and they're also probably, they're probably not going to catch you. Which Arsenal players are minutes risk? Eze. Out of the ones that people own, probably only Eze. Rice will play. I think Trossard will play. I think Trossard probably is a slight risk, but I would put him at a 80-90% chance of starting. Eze's the big one. I think Lewis Skelly will play in midfield. I think Calafiori will start left back. Calafiori is a minutes risk just because we aren't fully 100% certain that he is available. But I think Eze is the only one that when you say which Arsenal player is a minutes risk, I think it's only really Eze that I would put into a minutes risk category. Of course, there's a chance that Trossard doesn't start. There is a chance that Calafiori doesn't start, but there'll be early subs surely. Yeah, if you want to include early subs, then GYOKERS, then every single one of them that isn't Saliba, Gabriel, Raya is a minutes risk, right? If you ask me, who are the top 5 Arsenal players most likely to play 90 minutes, it's a slightly different question. David Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Rice, and Mosquera are probably the top 4 out of 5 I would say are most likely to play 90. That doesn't include Saka. That doesn't include GYOKERS. It doesn't include Trossard. It doesn't include Lewis Skelly, who could be taken off for Zubimendi later on in the game. So there are players who are minutes risk, but when in minutes risk in my head means, are they not going to start? I don't see that as a risk. But I think there is a doubt about I think there's a doubt about how many minutes people are going to play, but not so much about starts. Is 48 points catchable? If I'm honest, probably not. Like, that's 24 points a week. Chances are not. Your teams would have to be almost completely separate for that to happen. Or your captain hauls in both weeks. But I would say 48 points. I would say no. And this is the thing. And again, when you get closer to the end of the season, and that's why in my complete guide video, I've added a couple of new segments towards the end of the season, which is about chasing rank and chasing your mini league, which people have said has been really interesting and useful. So absolutely, I think that's fine. And I'm glad, sorry, that didn't make any sense. I'm really glad that people have found it useful, and I will start adding and tweaking bits in that video as I see fit over the course of the seasons, depending on what's most relevant. We, again, removed chip stuff and added more mini league chasing over the past few weeks. And there are certain ways that you can chase rank, which I don't think are necessarily good transfers. But if your rival, so for example, if you're looking to buy Saka or GYOKERS and your rival already has Raya, Gabriel, Saka, if you're holding rank, you should buy Saka. But if you're chasing rank, you should buy GYOKERS, right? Now, there is one of those that will fit your team better. And if this was any other week, Saka probably fits your team better. But if you're chasing rank, there's no point you buying Saka whilst also having João Pedro if your rival's got Saka and João Pedro. You're better off keeping Cherki and going GYOKERS and doing something a bit different. So the closer we get to the end of the season, which of course we are now with 2 weeks left, what you're doing in terms of rank goals, mini league goals is of course important. And it probably is the biggest thing that should decide what transfers you're going to be making now. Van Heck, Senesi or Hill out for Keane. I mean, I probably would take Van Heck out because I presume with your transfer, you're not going to play Van Heck. For a lot of us, the defensive transfer you make this week will mean that Van Heck drops to the bench or doesn't play, in which case you don't need him in 38. You'd rather play Senesi or Hill in 38. I don't really have very many mini leagues that I play for seriously. I play for rank much more than I play for mini leagues. There are certain mini leagues that I would like to win, but I don't really focus much on a mini league. Like, I'm not going to make a transfer now for a mini league, really. I don't think. Van Hector, Keane or Roll, 1 free transfer, 0.3 in the bank. So there are a lot of you asking in the chat about transfers. This is the overarching advice that I have for this week. Now, if you are chasing rank or you're chasing mini leagues or you're trying to protect rank or you're trying to protect in your mini league, then of course, this doesn't always apply. But if you have got triple Arsenal and you have got 1 free transfer, my answer to you will be to roll unless you want to do something that is mini league related. So if your mini league rival has the same team as you and you're chasing, there's no point you rolling the transfer. But if you are going purely for rank, if you've got triple Arsenal and you've got 1 transfer left, or probably if you've got 2 transfers left, I would roll your transfer. I would roll your transfer. 33 points is a lot. If I'm honest, I would say anything over 20 points is a lot to chase in 2 weeks. Anything over 20 points. Basically. Reason for your worst overall rank this season compared to recent. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the first year that I don't finish in the top 10k since 2020, which is a shame. Like, I've kind of come to terms with it. I'm a little bit sad about it, but it was going to happen eventually, right? I wasn't going to finish in the top 10k for every season forevermore. I started badly. First few months in particular, my rank was not great, so I ended up chasing quite a lot. I had a couple of weeks where I was very lucky. That game week 28, 29, 30 period, I got loads of huge green arrows. So things could have been a lot worse. I was about 200k at game week 26. So it could be a lot worse. So I'm actually pretty happy with where I am. I think the biggest mistake I did was that it's hindsight, right? There are 2 things. I sold Thiago when I didn't need to. And then he scored like 30 points in the space of 2 weeks. And then I bought him back. That was a really bad transfer. Now that I look back on it, I should never have sold him in the first place, but then I sold him. He had 2 good games. He did well. And then the fixtures were really hard. I shouldn't have bought him straight back. I should have either never have sold him or made my bed and just kept him. The other one is Saka. Earlier on in the season. It's when I sold Saka on the Saturday night before Bruno got injured. The early transfer got punished. Maybe there isn't much that I could really have done about that. Bruno never really gets injured. And I got very unlucky that I made an early transfer in the 1 week that Bruno's ever got injured. But then I panicked, I think. And I brought Saka back when I knew he wasn't worth the money. But because Bruno got injured, Saka didn't really become a money pick. Well, absolutely. Like, this is hindsight. This is absolutely hindsight. At the time, I didn't think that they were bad picks, but someone asked, like, what do I think I've done wrong this season? And that's, I suppose, what hindsight's for, is for me to look back and say, where do I think I've made the mistakes this season? And I think those are turns out triple captaincy would have been the third one, but there was not much swing in it in the end. I think the 2 biggest things I did was Thiago and, starting badly, but that's it. Thiago and Saka were probably the 2 big ones that I look back on. I was pretty, and again, Saka's a big one. I just never thought he was worth the money, but I didn't have anything to spend the money on, so I bought him. Saka the big one, I think. And I've still got him, and I won't be captaining him. You missed Semenyo when he joined. Yeah, that's true. I sold Semenyo when he left Bournemouth and didn't buy him again. I've benched a lot of points as well, but I think that's partly down to DEFCON. Like, every week I've got 4 pointers on my bench, so my bench points looks worse. But I have benched a lot of points this season. I have benched a lot of points this season. How come you're wearing a Forest shirt? It's got Elliot Anderson on the back. He's a hero. And my wife supports Forest. So I have ties to them as a club and Elliot Anderson is a hero. Every few seasons, if there's a player who's an absolute hero for me, they get a shirt just for content, for streams and like videos and stuff like that. And Elliot Anderson got one. The other player is Dominic Solanke. I should wear it the other way around, and then it gives more of an explanation. You're probably right. You have Verbruggen, Van Heck, Gross, bench Lacroix or DCL. Like, if you're playing double Brighton defense, I probably wouldn't want to play DCL, but I wouldn't want to play Lacroix. I probably would play DCL over Lacroix, even in that situation. João Pedro to GYOKERS and Lacroix to Keane, or Tav to Ndai. Probably not the Ndai route. I don't think Ndai is great, personally. Regardless of this season has gone, we like you and enjoy your content. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Well, I hope that, I hope that 27k is not so bad that people suddenly think after 5 top 10ks that I've got nothing left to offer. I hope that there's still some positives to take from this season, even if it's not top 10k. But I appreciate that. How was the idea of selling Bruno? I think if you want to sell Bruno on the final day, I'm not completely against it if you want to go differential, but home to Forest, I wouldn't do that. Is the Spurs game for Chelsea that important to keep João Pedro? No. Like, if your only way to get GYOKERS and you want GYOKERS is selling João Pedro, then fine. But if you're not doing that transfer, then I wouldn't sell it. Like, I don't think there's many transfers amongst forwards that are particularly worth it, apart from GYOKERS. Like, what forward is, like, maybe if you've got a spare transfer and you wanted Thiago this week to then sell him again, but I don't think that's that worth it. I don't think there's any forward that's particularly worth it this week other than GYOKERS. And that's where I go back to that sort of point that I keep talking about. If you've got triple Arsenal, there isn't that much that's really worthwhile buying this week. So now let's talk about my transfer. And people asking in the chat, Harry, what moves are you making? What moves are you making? So I don't know. And this is why. The transfer I have in my mind is Van Heck to Michael Keane. And that is still the transfer that I go back to and I look at. It's the only transfer that I even consider making in my team. Nothing else. Like, people have said, oh, do Tavernier to Dewsbury Hall in order to bench Cherky or Hinchelwood. I'm not benching Hinchelwood. He's been incredible. Leeds have got so many injuries. I'm not benching Hinchelwood. I'm not benching Cherky after he got benched midweek. I think he'll probably start. So the only move is Van Heck to another defender. Now, it could be Malik Chow, but I just think West Ham have too much to play for that I won't do that. I think Cherky will start. I might end up being wrong, but I think Cherky's had his rest along with a lot of the other first team players. So I think Cherky does start. So I'm not selling O'Reilly. I'm not selling Cherky. I'm not selling Haaland. I'm not selling my triple Arsenal, despite the fact if I was going again, I would have double Arsenal defence and not double Arsenal attack. But that's where we're at. Bruno, João Pedro. Verbruggen's going to stay. Hinchelwood's going to stay. I'm not making a goalkeeper transfer. So at least the Van Heck spot. It's Van Heck to Keane. So my thought process is Sunderland are the second lowest goal scorers in the league this season, right? Let me get some of the... they are the second lowest... And away from home, they are the lowest goal scorers. So on the Scout website, they are the second lowest goal scorers of the season, averaging basically a goal a game. People asking why I'm selling I'd sell Van Heck, because I wouldn't play Van Heck ever again and be old. It just puts an extra 0.8 in the bank. Is the forwards thing not updated? I've updated it like four times. There we go. So like Sunderland have not scored a lot of goals. And Leeds are much better. And recently as well, like if we go last 6 as an example, I would play City defenders over Bournemouth defenders despite the DEFCON appeal. Again, if we go over to, for anyone who joined the stream last week or follows me on Twitter will know that I've been advocating FPL Joe's new website. If you need a goalkeeper outside of Raya or Pickford, I wouldn't do it this week. It's Hermansen on the final day. It's probably Hermansen or Verbruggen. So if you look at clean sheet odds, right? Brighton 46%, Everton are 36%. So Everton is higher. But I just question if it's definitely worth a move, because there is a benefit if I'm trying to push up the rank to just double stack Verbruggen, Van Heck and hope that Brighton keep a clean sheet. Because if they do, that's going to do more for my rank than like Michael Keane probably will. Now I've got 3 free transfers, so is it really worth me rolling and not saving and saving none and saving 4 for the final day? I don't know. People saying that Brighton... I mean, Leeds have got Okafor, Bogle, Goodmanson, Strauch all out, and Ampadu might be out as well. Someone said sell Tav, it's the aggressive move, but I don't think the midfielders are good enough. The only one is Dewsbury Hall that I would consider, but I'm not sure it's particularly great. Yeah, well, I could roll them all and have them in game week 1 for next season. So, like, I could have 4 transfers in game week 1 of next year that just feels like more beneficial than using any this week. Like, do I think there's a punt this week that is really worth it? Or do I think that 4 transfers for game week 2 is better? Disclaimer, I'm aware that you can't do that. And for anyone wondering, that doesn't work. But yes, but on the final day, like if City do drop points to Bournemouth, then I might want all the transfers on the final day because of the City and Arsenal potential rotation. Like if you look at City Bournemouth, it has City at a 53% chance of winning, which means you're telling me that there's a 47% chance that City don't win that game. Then I want my transfers on the final day. That's saying that's almost a 50-50 call. But then as someone said in the chat, Harry, being too conservative, I've realised I've got to this point with too many transfers. But actually, over the past few weeks, there's not loads of transfers that I could have made that would have done my team any better. Like last week, what would I have bought that did particularly well? Palace did nothing, right? That was the transfer that I saved last week. Lacroix scored what? 4 points. Again, that wasn't worth it. I should have just played James Hill. Game week 35. Like, I tried to use transfers last week and it didn't pay off. Like, there's just not been very much that really has been worth using the transfers on. So, and I think it's the same this week. If City lose, play Bournemouth guys and Biol. Yeah, I mean, I could just play Hill and Biol and Tav. Like, it's okay. But I also could use those transfers to do something much more exciting than it is this week. Like, Kizzy just asked about Gibbs White in the chat. I would keep him, but I would probably bench him this week if you can. But Gibbs White at home to Bournemouth on the final day is a nice punt. I'd buy Mavropanos at home to Leeds, Bowen at home to Leeds if they're still fighting for something. There are exciting punts on the final day, which I just don't see this week. So it's whether Van Heck to Michael Keane is worth a transfer. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the end of the season. Yeah, I mean, people often say that I've been too slow to make transfers, but I've probably made the same number of transfers as almost everyone else this season, apart from the 3 that I've got now. So over the course of the season, I know people says that I've rolled too much. But I've probably used a very similar amount of transfers to most people. I know I'd have 3 transfers next week regardless, yeah. And I took a few -4s. I'd be interested to know that if I've actually made less transfers than other people, that it seems to be that I feel like I have. Like, I feel like I've constantly rolled and had loads of transfers in the bank. But there must have just been a period where I just banked loads, and that's what's led to this. Because we all get the same number of transfers over the course of the season. But yeah, if you've got triple captain, I would probably play it this week on an Arsenal player. Whoever you would have captained, just make them triple captain. Why Keane over Tarkowski? I just have no reason to think that Tarkowski is a better pick at a more expensive price. Although the money might not be useful to you this week, it probably will be next week. I just have no reason to think that Tarkowski is better, apart from Tarkowski just got a goal and an assist, and that feels a lot like chasing points. I don't know the last time that Tarkowski got back-to-back returns. Someone's saying that Biol is a doubt. I haven't seen that. Pretty sure it was Okafor. Yeah. Gruev, Okafor, Gudmundsson, Bogle are definitely out. Strauch is yet to train, and Ampadu is ill. There's no mention. That's the thing. Like, predicting the Leeds team, I mean, it's okay because they've got like a midfield of Tanaka, Longstaff, Antoine Stack, DCL and Nemecha, like Rodon, Biol, Justin. Like, it's okay. But yeah, Tarkowski was better a few weeks ago because Branthwaite wasn't injured. It was only a few weeks ago that Branthwaite got injured and Branthwaite was playing over Keane. And now that Branthwaite is injured, you may as well just buy the cheaper one. The issue is when Branthwaite and Tarkowski are both available, Branthwaite breaks half the time. And once that happens, then Keane becomes a better pick. Risk Senesi or Tarkowski. I think Senesi's fine if you've got... I think Senesi's fine if you've only got 1 free. If you've got more than 1, then maybe, because I do think City score in that game. But they will get DEFCON. So again, it's like a 4-pointer, potentially 3-pointer if they can see twice. Captaincy, I'm pretty set on GYOKERS. I just think if I've got him at this point, I'm going to captain him. He has a great record at home to Burnley. He has a great record at home to newly promoted teams. I wasn't that impressed by SAKA against West Ham. Yeah, I just think where I'm at, I think I go GYOKERS. He's slightly lower. He'll be lower owned than SAKA. I think he's on pens as well. Now, there is a world where SAKA takes a pen because it's at home. He's often given penalties to other people away from home. But I just don't see that in the build-up to like a Champions League final. Like, surely GYOKERS gets all the practice in penalties that he can on the pitch. If you could drop a like on the stream as well and subscribe if you are new, that would be great. I would much appreciate any support on the stream. There are 3,000 of you in who haven't liked, and I'm sure with Game Week 37, if you've enjoyed this content this week over the season, that we could hit 1,000 likes on the stream. You learned SAKA wasn't in training. He's been in individual training. I'm sure SAKA will be absolutely fine. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, yeah. He was in individual training, but so was like Saliba yesterday, so I wouldn't worry about it. Thank you all for liking. Appreciate it. Buy an Arsenal defender or GYOKERS. If you want to captain GYOKERS, then that's fine. But I would only buy GYOKERS if you're going to captain him. Basically, I only think you need one of SAKA GYOKERS, and then I would double defense. Unless you're really chasing and your rival's gone with triple defense and you want to go for the all-out attack. But the way I would do it is I would only own one of SAKA GYOKERS and then own your combination of Trossard and double defense how you want, depending on who you want to captain. I think SAKA GYOKERS are only worth it if you're going to captain them. Is it worth taking a -4 to play bench boost this week? If you've got a player on your bench that you need to sell, but if they're going to play, then I probably wouldn't do it for a hit, and I would just play bench boost regardless. If you have double Brighton defense, start FIFA or DCL. If I didn't see the press conference, is FIFA definitely back? If you're playing double Brighton defense, it probably makes sense to play FIFA. But I still think I would play DCL over FIFA just in case they score. Will Dubravka start? Probably not. If you're on bench boost and you've got Dubravka, I would probably sell him even for a hit. Because there's a good chance he doesn't start. A few super chats from FPL Chaël and Dying Keen or Thiago and Stack. I would just keep whatever you've got. Like, I wouldn't use transfers on switching from either side. If I had to pick, I'd probably go Thiago. Van Hector Keen or Roll with 1-3. If I only had 1-3, I definitely wouldn't be doing it. Who's the best Arsenal defender for minutes outside of Gabriel and Saliba? Probably Lewis Skelly, I think now. I expect Calafiori will be okay. But I don't know if I can recommend people to buy him just because there is a risk. But I expect him to be okay. And if he plays, he's the best pick by a long way. He's probably better than Saliba. Mosquera will probably play right back. There is just a chance that Timber is available, but he probably won't start. So Mosquera is probably fine. Yeah. Mosquera is fine as well. Like, they're all pretty similar in terms of risk and upside. Mosquera will probably play the last two, probably, as long as Timber's not back, which it doesn't look like he will be. Cherky or Thiago, I'd play Thiago 100%. Play Darlow or Henderson, I'd play Darlow. Sell Welbeck or João Pedro for GYOKERS. I probably would sell Welbeck, but it's close. With those Leeds injuries, I wouldn't be surprised if Welbeck does well this week. I probably would sell. If you're protecting rank, I would sell Welbeck. If you're chasing, I'd sell João Pedro because they're very different in terms of ownership. If I had to just look at it plain and simple, I probably would sell Welbeck. Start Welbeck or Casemiro. I probably would play Casemiro if you've got him, yeah. I would not be surprised if Bruno gives him a pen. Wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised at all. Just feel like with two games to go, I wouldn't be surprised as well if this is the last game Casemiro plays and he's just not in the squad on the final day. That his final United game is at home. That's that. And I wouldn't be surprised. So I would bear that in mind with a few players like Casemiro. I wouldn't be that shocked if he doesn't play 38. Kelleher or Verbruggen for bench boost. I'd go Kelleher this week. Biol or Senesi. Probably Biol if I had to pick one. Biol is ahead of Hill on my bench. This translation. Liverpool goalkeeper. Was there an update on Alisson in the press conference? Sorry, I've had a manic morning. I haven't. Alisson trains with us again. Let's see where he is tomorrow. He is ready already, or he has to wait one more week. I'd be surprised if they risk him before the World Cup, if I'm honest. Again, one of the fantastic things that I like about FPL Joe's website is the tracking of... So we did this before the City game last week, right? So when Haaland benched, I'm going to show you why this is a really useful tool. And it will be very useful on the final day of the season. This is what happened to the City projected goals in the build-up to the game when Cherky, Haaland and O'Reilly were benched, right? This is in the build-up for the day before the game. City's estimated goals at 3 o'clock before the lineup came out at 6:45. So 3.5 hours before the lineup, City were predicted 2.95 goals, right? It dropped and dropped and dropped to 2.48 when the lineup came out. It dropped by half a goal. that is an indication that there is something in the team that is surprising, right? So we can use this as an indicator. Now, we have seen similar today with Villa. Villa and Liverpool. I mean, it started that Liverpool were predicting 1.95. Then it dropped to about 1.7 for quite a few days. And then since yesterday evening, it's dropped from 1.7 to 1.45. And people think that's because Alexander Isak is not going to be available. And the front three is going to be Gakpo, Rio, and someone else. Now, Villa have also taken a bit of a tumble and clean sheets as a whole have gone up. But I think that is probably partly with the Liverpool team because it's a very similar trend that they just think that there's going to be less goals in the game as a whole. So you're saying there is value in information. Information tends to be valuable. I don't know what you mean. But I think it's just quite interesting. I love data, and I think something like this is absolutely fascinating. And any small edge you can try and gain from something is really interesting. But people think that's because Isak's not going to play. But it was a real trend before the City Palace game. Again, I wonder what's happened to Brighton since the press conference. I imagine it's favoured Leeds. No, but you don't know who that change is going to be. Unless it's so significant, then it's someone like Haaland, for example, midweek, right? When there was such a significant drop in City of 0.5 of a goal in a few hours. Like it happened when it was earlier on in the season when City played Wolves. Haaland and Foden got benched, right? And it dropped like that in the few hours before the FPL deadline. And that was the early indication that we got that there were going to be changes. There isn't that much change here. Since press conferences, Leeds have dropped a little bit, but there's not loads. Anyway, Thiago triple captain and bench one Dewsbury Hall or Rodgers. Definitely played Dewsbury Hall over Rodgers, and I probably would not triple captain Thiago. I'd put it on an Arsenal player. 30-point captain Gabriel, GYOKERS, KDH, Semenyo, Haaland. If you're chasing 30 points, I would captain GYOKERS as long as your rival doesn't own GYOKERS. Who is Brighton penalty taker? We think it is Welbeck as long as he's on the pitch. It could be Gross. It could be Gross. Yeah, probably one of those two. Jake, would I sell João Pedro to GYOKERS or Tavernier to Trossard to bench Semenyo? So your combination is GYOKERS, Semenyo, or Trossard, João Pedro. GYOKERS, Semenyo, I would say is better. I do think there's a risk that Semenyo doesn't start. So FPL Joe, who makes the site, is in the chat. He says that 0.42 goal projection change for Haaland and Foden benching is what made him make the site. I think it's just... I'm going to be all over it on Game Week 38. Trust me, we're going to be tracking every single game. Joe, I was hoping there's going to be a way on the final day of the season, I hope I'm not asking too much here, to track every team's projected goals on one graph. So you'll have 10 teams' lines all on the same graph just for goals, just so we can try and track one rising or falling. No pressure, of course. The site is FPL Joe, FPLJoe.com. GYOKERS is going to be my captain, yeah. I don't mind Saka. I think Saka's an absolutely good choice, but I have GYOKERS. He's lower owned. I think he's pretty level with Saka. He's on pens, we think. I just think, the fact that I've got him now, would I buy GYOKERS or Saka? I probably would buy Saka out of the two. But given I've got GYOKERS sitting there, I think I captain him. The other reason for a lot of people is the combinations are probably better if you buy Saka. Like Saka, if I didn't have GYOKERS, I'd have Thiago, right? Saka, Thiago versus GYOKERS and a bad midfielder. I'd rather the Saka route for a lot of people. Yeah. Frabor similar team with Ndai and DCL plus 2 million in the bank. Instead of GYOKERS and Tav, would I do Van Heck to Saliba or João Pedro? I see I do Van Heck to Saliba as long as you've got SAKA to captain. Yeah. Why not Bruno? Sesko's unavailable. Wouldn't be surprised if he gives pens to Casemiro. Yeah. Yeah, I think Bruno's fine. And I actually think Forest is probably quite a good game for them. But might give pens to Casemiro. Super chat. So like Casemiro could be an interesting one. Do I transfer out DCL? You have SAKA and GABRIEL. But after I transfer out DCL... I mean, if you can do DCL to GYOKERS, I would. Would I do Watkins to Bowen? No, not this week. That sounds like a lot of narrative building there. Bruno has done well without Sesko, and I doubt he passing pens to Casemiro. That's probably fair. That's probably fair. Like, so let's have a more fair discussion on Bruno. I do think there is a chance that he gives pens. If they get a pen in the 90th minute and Casemiro is still on the pitch and they're winning the game, I would not be surprised if he gives that pen to Casemiro. Maybe I'm building a narrative there. But let's say Bruno keeps pens. Forest are a team that you want to target. Bruno is chasing the assist record. Without Sesko there, I do think they're a little bit worse. But they've got Cunha, they've got Mbeumo. I think Bruno is a fine captain. He is 4th in my ranking, so I don't have an issue with you doing that. Don't have a huge issue with you captaining him. But I just think Arsenal have got Burnley at home. I am captaining an Arsenal player, and I'm going for it on Monday night. I just am. And that would be my recommendation. Now, if you don't love the minutes for GYOKERS or SAKA, I don't mind the Gabriel captaincy. I can't see a world in where Arsenal don't keep a clean sheet, but Bruno is then next. Outside of those three, Bruno is next. I mean, 60% chance for a clean sheet. I mean, I know that's the highest like we've ever seen it, but why is it not higher? Telling me you think that Burnley have a 40% chance of scoring. If you ran a simulation 100 times, that Burnley score in 40 of them. No chance. It's more like 20. Bruno gave the penalty to Eriksen last home game last season. Really? I'm going to go and have a look at this because we might be onto something. And then definitely you're not. Then definitely you're not captaining. So he did. So he did. Eriksen's last Manchester United game. Eriksen gave the pen to Eriksen. Bruno gave it to Eriksen. And they were only 1-0 up at the time. Does Casemiro take pens? Like, has he ever taken pens? He gave it to who? Someone said he gave it to Johnny Evans, who then passed. So he's just giving away pens to whoever wants it. He's giving it away to Johnny Evans, apparently, when they were only 1-0 up. So he gave it to Johnny Evans, who then passed it on to Eriksen. I mean, he's just giving away pens to whoever wants it at only 1-0. Well, I'm definitely not capping Bruno now. He's not even on pens. You don't get an assist for passing pens on, sadly. If not, SAKA would have loads of them. Yeah. I'm not. Casemiro was back in training, so we've got to expect that he plays. I'm not. As a Real Madrid fan, Casemiro's taken pens before. Fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not... Apparently, he's never taken one in open play. Ever. Transfer Market saying he's never taken a pen. But maybe that's only penalty shootouts. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Bruno tries the pen pass to get an assist so Casemiro can score, but he still gets a missed pen for it. Yeah, if a player passes the penalty to someone else, it's a missed pen. And then you don't want that. Interesting that people use the assist like Henry and Perez. To me, it's Messi, Suarez. Was it them who did it? I don't know. You're getting in Trossard, Gabriel, and GYOKERS. I'm getting in Trossard, Gabriel, and GYOKERS. Yeah. Trossard, Gabriel, GYOKERS is a nice Arsenal triple up. Sorry, I am just going to tweet this. When was that? Was that last year? Was that only last year? Was that when Martinez got sent off? Yeah. As if that was only a year ago. I'm just going to tweet because... We're back. Why GYOKERS over Saka for captaincy? Just purely based off, I think Saka's... I just think GYOKERS is much more central and focal to that Arsenal attack at the moment. I've been a long-term believer this season that I don't think Saka's that worth the money and his output's not been as great. I also think that GYOKERS will almost certainly take the pen. And as a result, I just think... And for me, GYOKERS is lower owned. So if you've got him, the opportunity is there to captain him. The opportunity is there. We are going to put the chat in subscriber-only mode. So if you are not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel and please drop a like. We're not that far away from 100 and only 2 weeks from 100 from 1,000. So if you want to drop a like to support the channel on this second last stream, please, that would be much appreciated. Yeah, so for just a few different deciding factors, I just think GYOKERS is the safer of the two pens, a safer of the two captains for me out of him and Saka. I like Saka. If I didn't own GYOKERS, I would be captaining Saka this week. Saka will be more highly owned. Do I get Bowen for a -4 or just play Rodgers? I'd probably just play Rodgers. Villa will probably be full strength tonight. It's a pretty long turnaround to their game next midweek. I would expect a pretty full strength. Yeah, pretty full strength lineup. 2 free transfers: Rice to Saka captain and Rodgers to Dewsbury Hall, or 2. Keep Rice, Rodgers to Ndai, Captain Bruno or Gab. I probably would do Rice to Saka. Probably would. Leeds have many outs, so bench one of Gross, Van Heck or Calvert-Lewin. I mean, I probably would bench... To be honest, I'd bench Van Heck and play Gross and Calvert-Lewin. Yeah. João Pedro to GYOKERS or Strout to Saliba or Keane. See, I'd do Strout to Saliba probably, as long as you've got Saka or you've got someone else that you're happy to captain. Start Dewsbury Hall or João Pedro. I mean, I'm crazy that we're in a world where your team is good enough to bench one of them. If I had to pick Dewsbury Hall or João Pedro, I probably would play Dewsbury Hall, given the tight turnaround for Chelsea. Holly, I hope you're all right. Hello, hello. Holly is in the chat. Nice Forest shirt. Yeah, with our hero on the back. I might own him. I might just buy him on the final day of the season, just for one final time before he moves. Yeah, now if Isak is out, it does make Gakpo. I've seen a few people talking about Gakpo, and if Isak is out, it does make Gakpo better. If you want to just play him or buy him. I probably wouldn't buy Gakpo, but if you've got him, then maybe you do start him. I don't think I'd be buying Gakpo, though, because who knows what it'll be on the final day. You're leading your mini league with 33 points. Should I sell Pedro to Thiago to block? If the person in second has Thiago and no João Pedro, I would do that transfer, yeah. João Pedro and Semenyo to GYOKERS and die for a -4. João Pedro and Semenyo to GYOKERS and die for a hit. Probably not. No, I don't think I would do that. Yeah. Unless you're certain that you want to captain GYOKERS, then maybe, but no. Thiago or better if you're chasing. I mean, it depends if you're chasing rank or a rival, because if you're chasing rank, then Beto. But if you're chasing a rival, it will depend if they own Thiago or not, because Thiago's better than Beto. What I think of Calafiore, I think he probably plays, but I do think it's a bit of a risk to buy a player who's not guaranteed to play in the best fixture of the week. And what happens in game week 38? Like, you might not have as many Arsenal players that week either. Like, you've got to buy a player for Arsenal that you think is going to play both of the last two, which I realise owning GYOKERS is not completely right. But yeah, that's my issue with Calafiore. Does he definitely start both of the last two? I think it comes with a bit of risk. Yeah. Kadioglu or Lacroix, do I think Palace will rotate? No, I think Palace will still be pretty full strength. But I probably would go Kadioglu over Lacroix. Yeah, I mean, if you're defending mini leagues, it's really boring, but you buy the players that your mini league rival is either A, most likely to buy, or B, are most scary that they own and you don't. So if they've got Gabriel, Saka, GYOKERS, and you've got Gabriel, Saka, buy GYOKERS, not Raya. Things like that. I remember when I first started playing, I did play like that. I had a mini league which I wanted to win my first year of playing, and like the last 3 weeks, I just bought the players that they had, and I won it. I just used my transfers. I was like, right, he's hurting me. I'm going to buy you. Oh, fine. Yeah. So confused. Start 2 free transfers. Sard to Stack, Semenyo to Saka -4, or just Strouk to Mark Gay. I don't like any of those transfers particularly. Can you not just do Sard to Trossard? I'm not sure a hit for Saka is particularly worth it. What I do, Trav to Trossard to captain him if you're chasing your mini league. Yeah, don't mind Trossard. I think Trossard's a fine differential this week. Yep. Start 2, DCL Gross, Dewsbury Hall. You have a Brighton centre-back and a goalkeeper. In which case, you probably do start Gross, Dewsbury Hall and hope that Brighton... keep a clean sheet. Bench 1, Welbeck DCL or Bruno G, 23 points behind. Well, if your rival owns one of those, then you bench the one that they own. If not, I'd probably bench Gross. But I'm a Gross hater, right? I appreciate that I have a more negative opinion on Pascal Gross than other people do, because as in my words, he keeps scamming points every week when Hinshelwood is actually a better pick and he keeps scoring and doing actual good things at the end of the pitch, and Gross just makes tackles and gets assists. I'm not bitter at all. But I just think, like, I think when I bought Hinchelwood, I said it, right? I said it on that stream when I went for Hinchelwood. I said, I want to buy a player that when Brighton attack, I've got a player who's involved in it. And that is the reason I went for it. And it was the right pick. Yeah, Pascal Gross's fluky returns are driving you nuts. I agree. I agree. He's just scamming points every week. Like the assist from Matoma, where Gross is a great cross, but then Matoma volleys it in from inside the box. And just like the best finish I've ever seen for a Gross assist. And then he makes a tackle in game week 36 and he gets an assist. Tough talk from a guy who rates Anderson. I mean, he's the 5th highest scoring midfielder in FPL. I'd like to see where Pascal Gross is. Don't you dare. I'm not having you come in here talking trash about Elliot Anderson. How dare you. Pascal Gross is not on Elliot Anderson's level. Not a tackle, clear assist. If you say so. If you say so. If you say so. If you truly believe that Pascal Gross has been a good pick, then if that helps you, you tell yourself that. No, to be fair, Gross ticks a lot of good boxes in FPL. I just liked going a little bit different with Hinchelwood, and I'm just bitter that I feel like I've made a good pick and it hasn't really gained me anything over just going with Pascal Gross. But I do enjoy owning Hinchelwood because he's more lowly owned. Bruno G or Dewsbury Hall. Probably Bruno G if you've got the money for him. Would I take a -4 for GYOKERS? Probably not. As long as if an Arsenal player is a hit regardless, then yeah, fine, take the hit. But if you can buy another Arsenal player for free, then I would probably do that. Gross to Dewsbury Hall. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic transfer. It involves selling Pascal Gross, who can't keep scamming points. So if you want to sell Pascal Gross to Dewsbury Hall, go for it. Van Hector Keane or none with 1 free. To be honest, I probably would do Van Hector Keane. I think it's a bigger upgrade. I'm not buying Dewsbury Hall. I'm not. He has been a good servant for me as well this season. Ruben, going back and forth. Bench 1 of Welbeck, Bowen, Garner. If I play Garner, it's a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 with no Garner, both Welbeck, Bowen. I think you have to play Welbeck, Bowen. I think I would bench Garner. He's got a higher floor with DEFCON, but I probably would play the attacking players. Again, if you're trying to protect rank, then maybe you don't and you take the 4 points. But if you're chasing, you definitely bench Garner. Yeah, so let's go back to my team. As Josh has just very correctly pointed out, there are loads of Leeds injuries. Am I still going to do Van Hector, Michael Keane? I mean, Everton have kept 2 clean sheets in their last 13 games, but Sunderland have been pretty poor going forward recently. We started looking at this data and then we never got any further. I mean, they've scored 7 in their last 6. They've basically averaged a goal a game over the course of the season, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't score this week. But with the Leeds injuries, am I that certain that Leeds definitely score this week? I mean, it is their final home game, so probably. But I don't know. I'm really going back and forth on it. Kia, top of your mini league with 1 free transfer. Canvo out for Saliba and triple Arsenal defense, or Rodgers out for Trossard, or just Rot. But if you've got a transfer and you can buy Arsenal, I would buy Arsenal. Definitely. If your rival has Arsenal attack, then maybe you go Trossard. But I would say that Canvo to Saliba is a very nice transfer. Start 1 of Gross or DCL if I do have if you do Van Hector Keane. Then if you're doing Van Hector Keane, you probably start DCL and hope that DCL scores and then you win double. Surely O'Reilly doesn't start. I have no reason to think he doesn't start. They're chasing the title still. It's a very difficult game away at Bournemouth. He's back in training. Yeah, I think O'Reilly was just given a rest. He's played a lot of minutes. And if he doesn't, I'll get GABRIEL for probably a 3-pointer with DEFCON off my bench. Not the end of the world. Is it stupid to captain Welbeck? I probably wouldn't captain Welbeck. Why isn't Thiago? I think Thiago's a fine captain, but when you've got Arsenal at home to Burnley, you've got Bruno being very consistent, and then you've still got Haaland. I think Thiago would probably be next. I think he would probably be number 6 in my ranking. But yeah, I also think Palace will be pretty full strength again. Why are people ignoring Eze? He's not predicted to start. It's expected to be Rice, Lewis Skelly, Odegaard, Trossard, Saka, GYOKERS. It might be Eze over Odegaard. Yeah, maybe I technically shouldn't vice cap Saka. Players from the same game. You're probably right. Just in case game gets called off for whatever reason. Does Strauch play? I would be surprised. It sounds like he's a big doubt. He's been a doubt before. I'm not sure they'll take the risk on him. Start Senesi or Strauch? I probably would play Strauch in case he starts, but you'll probably get Senesi off your bench. Rodgers to Dewsbury Hall done. Got 1 transfer less. DCL to João Pedro. No, I wouldn't. Again, so my general recommendation on transfers is if you've got triple Arsenal and you've only got 1 transfer, then I would roll pretty much. Dylan, you have 3 free transfers. Rodgers to Bruno G, Munoz to Keane, and DCL to GYOKERS. Or use third transfer Henderson to Raya and captain either Gabriel or Dewsbury Hall. You're chasing your mini league. I'd go GYOKERS if you're chasing. The question is, do you need to start Keane this week, or could you do Rodgers to Dewsbury Hall and DCL to GYOKERS? But no, they're fine sets of 3 transfers. Again, it's only worthwhile if it frees up the money for you. Start Calvert-Lewin or Tav. Start Calvert-Lewin or Tav. Definitely Calvert-Lewin. Tavernier is rooted to my bench for the rest of time. I'm probably going to vice Bruno, just, best to be safe in case there was anything to happen. Like if Arsenal got called off. It is just a general rule of thumb in FPL that you shouldn't captain and vice captain a player in the same game. In the one time in every 3 years that a game gets called off, you would hate to be that. No reason to think it will happen though. Saka will be over 100%. I would say so. I would say maybe 110, 120. So I am running a risk by not captaining him. FPL predictions, you're back and they're translating your messages into not what it says. You apparently wrote captain this room, but actually you wrote captain Sobo. It's Sobo every week with these Sobo questions, and it thinks it means room. But no, I wouldn't captain Szoboszlai, no. Best defender other than Arsenal and Everton for bench boost this week. Best defender for bench boost. I mean, you could go Mavropanos because he's good next week. If not, a Brentford defender, probably. Home to Palace. Gibbs White is probably expected to be in the squad, but I'm not sure he'll start. Triple captain Gabriel if you're chasing. Listen, if you're chasing, no one's going to be captaining Thiago this week. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. It's not a bad option. He's probably in my top 6 captains. Probably his 6th. Cherky or Welbeck? Welbeck. Why are Fulham defenders? Yeah, you could buy Diop or Calvin Bassey. I think they're fine this week. Just Fulham looked massively checked out. Do Wolves actually try and attack for once in their final home game? Yeah, so if you've got double Arsenal and 1 transfer. So if you've got 1 transfer and triple Arsenal, I wouldn't use a transfer. But if you don't have triple Arsenal, I would use a transfer to buy a third Arsenal. Whoever it is. Yeah. I think Arsenal over the next 2 is more important than the second transfer on the final day. Raya or Saliba? I would prefer Saliba, but actually in a lot of scenarios, I think like Raya Van Heck is better than Saliba Verbruggen, as an example. Myers Lewis Skelly versus Mosquera. I think there's not much in it. I probably would just about go Lewis Skelly. Keane or Tarkowski, I'd just go cheaper with Michael Keane. Will Hincapié start? Probably not. We are expecting Calafiori to start. Let's see what the Scout predicted lineups are going to say. Yeah, Scout predicted lineup has no Eze. It's got Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, Gabriel, Saliba, Mosquera, Raya, Rice. Yeah. If there's anyone else you want me to check in the predicted lineups, shout in the chat now and I will have a look at who Scout are predicting. Is Keane now a starter? I mean, with Branthwaite out, yes, there is a small chance that they play Coleman at right back and O'Brien goes into centre back, but I don't think it's likely. People are saying Leeds. Yeah. Yeah, so Leeds has got no Okafor, it's got no Ampadu, it's got no Strauchin either. Yeah. Harry, you didn't get a notification when you went live. That's weird because someone also said that they couldn't see one of my videos. It just wasn't there. I hope everything's all fine. Yeah. Tarkowski better DEFCON attacking threat than Keane if money is not an issue. Not really. Tarkowski's DEFCON is actually slightly worse when they both start, and attacking threat, apart from the game last week, Keane's been better. You want me to sort out the layout of my team? I like having it scrambled, so there's points all over the place, or no points all over the place. Hinchelwood to Ndai or Tav to Trossard. I'd rather keep Hinchelwood. So, yeah. I don't think Hinchelwood to Ndai is particularly worth it. Verbruggen to Pickford or Van Heck to Michael Keane. I think Michael Keane is a fine defender to buy. I am considering Van Heck to Michael Keane myself, but I'm not fully certain of it. Right, I have drunk about 2 litres of water, not 2 litres, a litre of water since the start of the stream, and I am desperate for the loo, so I'm going to be there. I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to try on that Argentina shirt that I bought as well. See what we all think of that once I'm back. It's eyeing me up now that I brought it in. I'll be back in 1 sec. While I'm gone, we are 150 likes away from 1,000. So while I'm gone, like and subscribe. Oof, 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 oof. Harry, your Everton knowledge is so poor. Why? What did I do? You don't think Coleman's going to start? You need to bring in Keane from yours to free up the funds for GYOKERS, even though he'll be on my bench unless I do Bowen to GYOKERS instead. If you're going to do Keane in for Munoz, even though you're going to bench him, then buy Mavropanos and have him on the final day. It is nice. There's no one on the back of this one. There's no one on the back. Any Liverpool Villa team news? No, nothing as of yet. Right, so. Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. So, let's talk about my team a little bit, shall we? I mean, Michael Keane versus Van Heck. I do like Michael Keane as a pick. And I do worry a bit about Van Heck, but he has been pretty good recently. He's hardly hit... he hit DEFCON here. And he hit it against Spurs. He almost hit it against Wolves. He hit against Liverpool. His DEFCON's not been bad, actually. And defenders are pretty good at hitting... He's been pretty good at hitting DEFCON. I mean, his goal threat's fine. I think Michael Keane's goal threat's probably better than Van Heck. Let's have a look at some of the data. I mean, Leeds' defence over the last 6 has been so good. But I'm more looking at Leeds versus Sunderland in terms of expected goals conceded from set pieces. You've got triple captain worth putting on GYOKERS. I think whoever you're happy to captain this week, if you've got GYOKERS, he's the one I'm going to captain. People hate me wearing an Argentina shirt more than... I could start talking about who's the GOAT and then we'd cause even more debates, but we'll probably leave that one. Start 2 of Van Heck, O'Reilly or Pascal Gross. I probably would bench Van Heck. I'd probably play O'Reilly and Gross. White DCL over Gross. I just prefer DCL on pens. His open play threat's better. Gross just scamming points, basically. But no, I think DCL is probably better. Let's go. Ooh, matches. Oh, it's already loaded. Headed chances conceded. Sunderland on 92. Interesting. Leeds at 89, so it's almost the same. From set pieces, Leeds are actually worse than Sunderland. But there's not that much in it. They're all pretty close, actually. I question whether it's really worth the transfer. Yeah, I question whether it's really worth the transfer. Leeds' final home game. I don't have that much faith in double Brighton. I've got triple Brighton, triple Arsenal, triple City again. I mean, they're all 3 teams that you probably expect to win this weekend, but it doesn't feel particularly great. Would I do João Pedro to Thiago to afford GYOKERS? Yeah, I think João Pedro to Thiago, if you need a tiny bit of money as a transfer, I probably would consider. It doesn't free you up very much. You're in a pretty niche position there, but yes. Mate, you need to bring in Keane. I mean, I'm going to have 4 transfers on the final day if I don't make a transfer. I basically do have to hope that City drop points from an FPL point of view. That I've just got to hope that that's the way that it goes, because... And that there's rotation on the final day, like Haaland then misses out, for example. Because, like, if I go to game week 38 and I don't make it a transfer this week, this is how I will look. So, like, let's say if Arsenal win the league on Monday or Tuesday when City play, suddenly I've got Haaland, Cherky, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Saka, GYOKERS all at risk, right? Now, I've got decent enough cover on the bench, but like instead of having to play like double Brighton at home to United again or be all away at West Ham, I could do more exciting moves, right? Like if Haaland's not going to play, I do Haaland to Bowen. I do Van Heck to Mavropanos. I do. I mean, I'm probably going to sell Verbruggen to Hermansen, and I go big on West Ham on the final day, and then I do like GYOKERS out. My computer has just started whirling as it does, and studio crashed. Always a good start. And then I do him to Richarlison. Basically, like, is it really worth it? That's the question. Like, I basically have to hope for chaos on the final day. Basically. Let's just whittle through a few super chats that I've missed. Would I do João Pedro or Calvert-Lewin to GYOKERS? I'd probably rather sell Calvert-Lewin. Bench boost with Henderson, Lacroix, Dango, Justin. Yes, I'd rather do that than save it for the final day. Is Welbeck for GYOKERS and Cherky for Dewsbury Hall when 5 points under number one who has Semenyo? I mean, Cherky to Dewsbury Hall, but if your rival has Semenyo, you could just keep Cherky as a differential. Lacroix or Munoz? Probably Munoz. Hinchwood to Ndai or Tav to Trossard. Yeah, I would do the Tav move. 1 free transfer, Enzo to Trossard or Strout to Michael Keane. I'd probably rather been Enzo. Best Rodgers replacement under 10 million. You have Saka already. Best Rodgers replacement under 10 million. You have Saka already. I mean, Bruno if you have him. If not, there just aren't very many. Bruno, Guimaraes, Szoboszlai, Dewsbury Hall, and just take the money. Probably Bruno G. 2 free transfer. Would I do Verbruggen to Raya? You already Lacroix to Keane. Yeah, if you've got the transfers, Verbruggen to Raya, I would do. Semenyo to Ndai or Truffer to Keane to afford Trossard. Semenyo to Ndai or Truffer to Keane. Probably Truffer to Keane. Verbruggen, Darlow, Van Heck or Hill. Get Raya or Saliba. I'd do Raya or Van Heck probably. Rodgers to Saka or DCL to Yok. I'll probably do Rodgers to Saka. You have Gabriel and Saka, says Connor. 1 free transfer. Do I do Canvo to Calafiori or Saliba or play Canvo or Hill and then do one of Welbeck or João Pedro to GYOKERS? If you're happy captaining Saka, I probably would just buy the second defender. You've got Gabriel, Saka, João Pedro, Pedro to GYOKERS or Tavernier to Trossard. Again, comes down to who you want to captain. If you want to captain GYOKERS, then the GYOKERS route. If you're not going to cap GYOKERS, then I would just save it and buy Trossard probably. Start Hinchwood or DCL. Probably Hinchwood with the injuries they've got. 3 transfers and a bench boost chip left. What should you do? Yeah, play the bench boost this week. Use your transfers to make sure your bench boost is strong. Would I play Enzo or Van Heck? Probably Enzo. Does anyone know if Trossard is in the predicted lineups? Yes, he is. He is, yeah. Captain Saka or Bruno? Saka's minutes. I'd captain Saka. He's higher in my ranking out of the two. 3 Arsenal defence, Captain Gabriel on -4 for GYOKERS captain. If you've got triple defence, I would be captaining Gabriel to go all in on quadruple Arsenal defence. Same team as you, but you've got Lacroix instead of Hill, Gross instead of Hinchwood, and DCL instead of GYOKERS. João Pedro to GYOKERS, Tavernier to Trossard, or Lacroix to Saliba. If you're captaining GYOKERS, again, if you want to captain GYOKERS, probably that, but I would most likely captain Saka and do Lacroix to Saliba and keep João Pedro. I've been watching for over 3 years since you started, and you've got miles better each season, so thank you. Oh, thank you very much. You have done Okafor out and Dewsbury Hall in, as you want a full team for bench boost. Okafor to DCL for Dewsbury Hall is a great transfer, and I would play Hinchwood over DCL. So, am I rolling? Right. Do I think it's worth it? You're recommending Trossard, but I'm not buying him. Yeah, I mean, I've got triple Arsenal already, so I can't buy him. And, I mean, I have to recommend players rather than just the ones I buy, because not every transfer fits your team. Like, I can't buy Trossard. If I had a team that fit buying Trossard, I like Trossard as a pick this week. I think he's a good pick and he's low owned, but yeah, doesn't fit every transfer. Munoz to Tarkowski or Mavropanos, Gabriel or Gyökeres. If you need a defender for the final two, I'd go Mavropanos. But if you can do something else in 38, then I'd buy Tarkowski this week. I'll buy Michael Keane this week. DCL to better, what do I think? You have Van Heck. Probably wouldn't do DCL to better. I think DCL's fine. But again, if you want to go all in because you've got Van Heck, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. You've got 3 frees. Bringing in Lewis Skelly. Would I do Tavernier to Dewsbury Hall and Tavernier to Dewsbury Hall, I think, is fine. But for a lot of people, you're benching Dewsbury Hall. So is it worth it with the benching decision? I like Lewis Skelly. He doesn't really get DEFCON and he doesn't really get attacking return. So he is even more of a 6-pointer than Saliba, but he is cheaper. So if you've got a Munoz or you've got particularly a Lacroix, and you've got no money in the bank and you want to go Lacroix to if you want to go Lacroix to like Lewis Skelly, then yeah, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Munoz to Tarkowski or Mavropanos. Oh, Gabriel or Gyökeres. Gyökeres is higher in my ranking, but it is possible that they win 2-0. It's not a Gyökeres goal and Gabriel just mops up the points again. It feels very likely. Trossard is not a good asset. I think he's been good recently, and he is a player that Arteta trusts, and he is a player that has contributed at times over the past couple of years in FPL. He's often been pretty under the radar at his price as well. Lacroix to Calafiori or use 2 transfers to get Raya and Keane. Money issue. Yeah, I quite like that. Lacroix to Keane and Raya in. If it improves both of those spots, yeah. Can't afford Saliba. Who would I go with for an Arsenal defender? Calafiori or just go Lewis Skelly probably. Or Mosquera. All of those 3 should probably start. They all have a slight risk, but they probably all will start. They're all predicted to. What about Verbruggen to Pickford? I'm just not a fan of goalkeeper transfers with 2 weeks left. But Pickford, just like Michael Keane, has got benefit to it. But the defenders have DEFCON and goal threat. Whereas what's the best scenario for Pickford? I mean, he might save a pen, but in general, chances are you're not gaining very much with that transfer. Van Heck or O'Reilly. O'Reilly this week. Cherky to Wilson. I probably wouldn't buy Wilson. I think he's okay, but I'm not sure I'd be doing Cherky to Wilson. I think Wilson is fine away at Wolves, but he's not been great. Dewsbury Hall or Ndiaye. I have no reason to recommend Ndiaye unless you think that Everton get a penalty this week, because if they don't, Dewsbury Hall is a better pick. Like, buying penalty takers over a 10-week period is quite a good idea, because the chances are every team will get a pen, or 50% of teams in the league will get a pen over a 10-week period. But in any specific game week, it's pretty difficult to know if a team's going to get a pen. And I think there's probably too much weight given on penalty takers over a short-term period compared to a long-term period. Do I think Everton will get a pen next season? Yes. Do I think Everton will get a penalty in game week 1 next year? No. If that's an example, right? It's a bit extreme of an example, but SAKA, Gabriel or Haaland captain. SAKA is top for me. But again, all of this now with 2 weeks left needs to come down to what are you doing with your mini league? What do you want to do with your overall rank? Because SAKA will be one of the most highly captained players this week. Brentford get 1 pen every game week. Do not get me started. It is a question. What annoys me more when I see Pascal Gross scamming points, and we already know this stream how I feel about that, or when I get a notification and it says Brentford penalty. Just stop fouling them. Every week. Every week, Thiago just scams a penalty. Honestly, every week I just get that notification. Brentford penalty, Thiago to take. Great. Thank you very much, whichever defender dived in once again. Don't even. Right, I'm going to do a captaincy poll. I'm going to go GYOKERS. I'm going to go SAKA. I'm going to go... Right, before I do the poll, because there's quite a lot of players who could go in this poll, if you could let me know in the chat who you plan on captaining this week, and then I'll put one in. SAKA or Gabriel or Bruno Fernandes for captain. Me and two other guys are joint top of your mini league. What would I do? Also, Pedro to Thiago, SAKA, Gabriel or Bruno. I mean, Gabriel is the most safe play there. I probably would captain SAKA. Bruno. There are Bruno captainers. So I'm going to go Bruno Fernandes. People are not going Gabriel. So I'm going to go other. Yeah, just stop fouling Brentford players in the box. Like, it's not that hard. It's really not very hard. Let's see what the poll is saying. So SAKA 36%, GYOKERS 29%, Bruno Fernandes 16%, other 20% at the moment. Get your votes in. Oh, did we hit 1,000 likes while I was away? Oh, we did. Thank you all very much. Yeah, Thiago and Pascal Gross. You know how we were talking about what player would you get on the back of a shirt if you were going to get one? The opposite is Pascal Gross and Thiago. SAKA 38%. Yeah, SAKA top 37%. GYOKERS 30%. Bruno Fernandes 15%. Other being Gabriel, Haaland, Thiago at 18%. Interesting. SAKA at 37 is top. If you are looking for, like, people are asking about my captaincy ranking, my players to buy, they're all in the top right. If you keep an eye on that widget that goes round, we have rankings for a lot of these players. Mike, how are we doing? 2 free transfers. We talked DCL Thiago on the member stream. Could still do that, and or Tav to Dewsbury Hall. It would be SAKA, Bruno, Cherki, Dewsbury Hall, João Pedro and Thiago with Gross and Van Heck on the bench. I don't mind that. I suppose the question is, do you need to make the second transfer in order to bench Gross? Probably not. So I would most likely just pick one of those, either DCL to Thiago or Tav to Dewsbury Hall and play Pascal Gross. Hanny, I would go Dewsbury Hall over and die. I personally don't think the money on and die is particularly worth it. Isaiah, of course. 4 free transfers, 1 transfer for Arsenal. Would I bring in Saliba, GYOKERS or Trossard? You have the same back line as you, and would I make another move? Probably buy GYOKERS and Michael Keane then. Hope that Michael Keane matches Saliba, and then, yeah, GYOKERS. Unless you just want to captain SAKA, then don't bother with GYOKERS and just buy Saliba. Oh, that's not meant to be. That's meant to be Sunderland defence. Thank you. So Dewsbury Hall and Van Heck or DCL and Keane. Probably DCL and Keane. I think I'd rather buy Michael Keane and play a back 4 than buy Dewsbury Hall this week. All right, we've got 17 minutes to go until deadline, or 15 minutes on the timer, and I need to decide on who I'm going to captain. Not who am I going to captain. Am I going to make a transfer? Right, the question is, right, so let's say let's reset everything. Let's say I do the Van Heck to Keane move. $38. If Bournemouth win, if City win, then I'm fine, right? I just make 3 transfers to this team. And that's fine. Like, I've got 3 transfers on the final day. I don't need more than 3 transfers. If City don't win and the title is over, I guess Haaland might not start, Cherky might not start, O'Reilly might not start. I do have cover for them. I do have a bit of cover, but it's having 6 players who are a bit of a risk. Chances are all 6 of them are not going to start. Like Gabriel, you'd probably still expect to play away at Crystal Palace, wouldn't you? Arsenal still probably try and get some rhythm for the final. I mean, is Michael Keane much better than Van Heck this week? What's he predicted? 4.4. What's Van Heck predicted? 3.8. I mean, it's hardly a gain I'm particularly making, but I quite like Michael Keane. But Van Heck has been pretty good. Do I just double on the defense again? You will captain Van Heck if I sell him. Van Heck or Strout to an Arsenal defender? Probably Strout because he's injured. -4 for Bruggen to Raya. Start Hill or... I probably wouldn't take a hit for Raya. Would I start Hill or Welbeck? Cap Gabriel. I'd play Welbeck over Hill. And Cap Gabriel is fine. Yep. Cherky to Bruno G. I probably wouldn't sell Cherky. I would sell someone on your bench in order to bench Cherky. Bruno G is an absolutely fine pick. I just think that West Ham have quite a lot to play for still. If someone is chasing me on your mini league, he's more likely to go Saka or GYOKERS. You're trying to match him. Should, if you're chasing, you go GYOKERS. I would probably say so, but it might depend. Like if they've got a good front line, but they've got Rodgers and money in the bank, then they're going to do Rodgers to Saka. But if they have a good midfield and an easy way to GYOKERS, then it might be more likely that they do that. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the transfers I've made recently have just been not that beneficial. Just not being very beneficial. Like, is it worthwhile to do Van Heck to Michael Keane in the second last game week of the season when I'm not going to play him on the final day? Like, it's one transfer. Like, is it a good transfer? I mean, I think Everton are more likely to keep a clean sheet than Brighton are. Leeds' final home game. Brighton have lost just one of their last 14 games against Leeds. I mean, but that's spanning back like years. Yeah. Would I play like the Everton 36% chance for clean sheet versus Brighton's 26? Is that 10% clean sheet chance worth it? Emmanuel. Bench boost Darlow, Rodgers, Van Heck, O'Reilly, Captain Trossard. I would bench boost that, and I probably wouldn't Captain Trossard if you've got other better Arsenal players. Is it okay to play Verbruggen and DCL? I think so. The ownership of Brighton defence will still be about... It was 140% last week. It will be lower, but it won't be much lower. It will still be about 100. Rodgers to Ndai or Roll. I probably would do that transfer because in 38, Ndai's probably better again. Unless you've only got one transfer. If you've got more than one, then yeah, fine. But why Michael Keane and not Tarkowski? It's just a money thing, and I don't think... Tarkowski is only a better pick because he just got a goal and an assist. Outside of that, Keane is a better buy. I mean, some Everton fans, if there's any Everton fans in the chat who are telling me my Everton knowledge is bad, that's fine. But is there a chance that Keane doesn't start? Not one clean sheet for Everton in the last 6. Well, best start now, yeah? Best start now. Maybe it's just not worth it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Coleman retiring, we could see a Coleman start, but Everton do still have stuff to play for in the league. Like they're not completely done. Like it is possible that Coleman, I don't think it will happen, right? But it is possible that it's Coleman right back, O'Brien centre back. I doubt it. Because if Everton win their last 2 games, they end up on 55. Probably not enough for Europe, but it might be. It's probably not enough for Europe, though, is it? Is it going to be 8 spots get Europe? Is it going to be 8th? Why am I back in Brighton clean sheet? I mean, they've kept... Since I bought them, he's had 5, 6, 6, 2, 6. And I didn't play him that week. So he's actually returned in every week that I've played him. You think if Coleman starts, it'll be in place of O'Brien? It probably will. I think that's probably right. Start Calvert-Lewin or Cherky. Probably Calvert-Lewin. He's back in Brighton clean sheet. That's not right. That's not right. Is Haaland so low on the captaincy poll? So where's the captaincy poll gone? Did the captaincy poll end? Where'd it go? Is it gone? Does it end on its own? I think people don't like Haaland away at Bournemouth, and it's a close turnaround from... It's a close turnaround from the FA Cup final. It's not showing on mine. How weird. Let me go on my phone. It's not... How weird. It doesn't even show on my phone either. Gabriel, Saliba, Keane, and O'Reilly on the bench. I wouldn't bench double Arsenal unless you're bench boosting. It's actually just gone. Anyway, GYOKERS 34, SAKA 37. Thank you. Appreciate that. Why am I so high on Bruno G? I have a feeling he's going to be more mentally focused on the World Cup. And Newcastle have nothing to play for. It's just their final home game. He looked very good against Forest. I don't love any of the midfielders particularly, but I think Bruno G is a fine pick for their final home game. You just expect Bournemouth to put up a real fight, unreal XGC numbers from them at home, which is probably then worth not doing the transfer. And just if the title race goes to the final day, I've got 4 transfers to deal with it. To deal with any chaos, right? I mean, yeah. Predicted goals for that game continue to drop. Start Cherky or Rodgers. Cherky plays how many minutes? I think Cherky probably plays 70. I still probably would play Cherky over Rodgers. I probably would play Cherky over Rodgers. Gabriel or GYOKERS captain. Final answer. GYOKERS is my captain and I own both. So start Calvert-Lewin or Cherky. Calvert-Lewin over Cherky's on pen. Start 1 Van Heck, Welbeck or Malik Chow. Probably Malik Chow. Verbruggen and Keane / Tark or Pickford and Van Heck. I'd go Verbruggen and Keane. Should you go punt on Trossard? Triple Arsenal is the biggest priority this week. If you own triple Arsenal, probably roll unless you think there's a transfer that's got massive upside or helps you in a mini league. And if you've got one transfer available outside of triple Arsenal, then I probably would roll it. Pedro to Bowen, not this week. Maybe a transfer in game week 38. Would I sell Gross even though you have one transfer? No. One transfer, probably the answer is going to be to roll. Hincapié probably doesn't start. So yes, I would sell him. I would also probably sell Eze if you've got him. He might start, but I'm not sure it's worth it as a risk. If you've got Dubravka a part of a bench boost, I would probably sell Dubravka. Van Heck or Lacroix, bench one. I'd play Van Heck. Saliba, Van Heck or Riley, bench one. Probably Van Heck. You have triple Arsenal defense. Were to switch to bring GYOKERS in. No, probably wouldn't use 2 transfers to sell an Arsenal defender to buy an attacker unless you don't think one of them's going to start. World Cup, would I make videos about it? Probably not. No, but there are some things coming which we will talk about in due course. Start Szoboszlai or Pascal Gross? Probably Szoboszlai. I think I'm going to roll. Hope that City don't win the league. City don't win against Bournemouth from an FPL point of view. Double down on Brighton against Leeds. I don't love that it's away. Hope that Keane concedes. And yeah, roll into next season. Stop being boring. Very good. Very good. What do I think about? You will be here next week to see my exciting transfers. You wait. Does anyone want one of my transfers? I'll sell them to the highest bidder. We can have a bidding war in the chat. You hope City don't win the league either. Well, if they lose to Bournemouth, then I'll be happy. I've got lots of transfers. Yeah, because I've got loads of transfers. So City and Arsenal rotating on the final day would be really good for me. I just don't know. I don't mind Keane, but it was just never particularly exciting. I don't know. Just like double Brighton away at Leeds, like just not particularly great. But then Leeds have got loads of injuries. They didn't create loads of chances against Spurs, and Brighton have been very good. Would I captain Trossard if you don't own Saka or GYOKERS? I probably would captain Gabriel in that scenario. Yeah, of course, unless Arsenal drop points against Burnley, which feels unlikely. Enough is enough. I'm rolling mug. Might have to get some merch. First bid. I appreciate it. Ben me shirt for your transfer. Bench Welbeck or Gross? I'd play Welbeck. 1 free transfer. Would I bench Van Heck and buy Keane or roll? With only 1 free transfer, I definitely wouldn't do it. Is GYOKERS a must transfer using João Pedro? No, but I would want triple Arsenal. We have 1.5 minutes to go to the deadline, so please, triple Arsenal is a priority. If you've only got 1 transfer, outside of that, I would probably roll it. But if you don't have triple Arsenal and 1 transfer, I would buy an Arsenal player. I wouldn't swap between Arsenal players unless you don't think they play. I'm going to captain GYOKERS. Think I'm going to roll. Just hope Brighton keep a clean sheet, or I hope that Van Heck gets, 1 or 2 points within Michael Keane, and then it's fine. Yeah, I am locked in. Team is locked. 1.5 minutes to go to the deadline. What do I think of Saka captain? He's the best captain for me if you don't own GYOKERS, or if you just want to play it safer, Saka is safer. You're all in. Can you have fun with 2 transfers next week? I'm going to have fun with 4 transfers next week. Got to find something exciting to do. Quick, DCL or Dewsbury Hall? I'd play Dewsbury Hall. Szoboszlai or Hinchelwood? Hinchelwood. Yeah, Hinchelwood. Palmer versus Calvert-Lewin, who to bench? I'd probably play Palmer. I'm just Spurs. But no, I'll probably play Calvert-Lewin. If I'm not a Chelsea fan, I'm probably playing Calvert-Lewin. If you can only captain 1, Bruno and Gabriel, who should be? I'd captain Gabriel over Bruno. Szoboszlai or Cherky, I'd pay Szoboszlai over Cherky. Wilson or Calvert-Lewin, I'd play Wilson over Calvert-Lewin. João Pedro or DCL, probably João Pedro. Calvert-Lewin or Alderete, probably Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to make a transfer. No, I'm going to roll and just hope that Van Heck and hope that City drop points against Bournemouth, and then I've got loads of transfers to deal with it. That is it. We are into the final minutes before the deadline. That will be all of the questions answered in the stream. Please go and check your teams. Let me just refresh to make sure everything. Captain GYOKERS, Biol, Hill, Tavernier, Bruno, Gabriel. No transfer made. 4 transfers for the final day. I might finally do something exciting with my transfers, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Probably just buy like triple West Ham defense. That is going to be all. Go and check your teams. Lock everything in. That is my team for game week 37. GYOKERS captain and transfer rolled. 4 free transfers for the final day. Decided not to buy Keane and hope Van Heck matches him. And City drop points for maximum game week 38 chaos. Good luck, everyone. That is just my tweet. And then, I need to check my club team. We've got last fan standing and everything like that to do as well. 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Why do I want... I suppose I don't want City to drop points, but they're so highly owned, Haaland, Cherky, and O'Reilly, that it basically makes no difference. Cool. Maybe I should have just bought Keane. I don't know. I got transfers falling out my ears. Let me reduce slow mode. Right, we've got a few things to do. And he changed his captain last minute to GYOKERS, did he? Well, I hope he has a fantastic Monday evening. Right. What shall we start with? What shall we start with? Let's start here. Did he? Go on the GYOKERS. We've got last fan standing to do as well. Let's do challenge first. What is the challenge today? What is the challenge today? Uh, 4 points for every 3 saves. Well, we know what's happening, don't we? 4 points for every 3 transfer for 4 points for every 3 saves rather than 1. You know who we're going in goal? Yeah. We are going with the Burnley goalkeeper. Absolutely. You know who we're going in defence? And you know who's going to be our captain this week? Bro, what are you rolling for? I'm just hoping that there's chaos on the final day, basically. I'm going to buy triple Burnley. That's a wise decision. Re-challenge bonus again. 4 points. Goalkeeper clean sheets are worth 10. Nah, I'll just take 12 saves from him. So I need hang on, I might need a goalkeeper. No, I'm going to go with him. Right, who else? Semenyo's going in. DCL's definitely going in. Who else? Who else has got a good game week that I don't own this week? Pascal Gross. In he goes. The worst pick in the game. Pascal Gross is in. Thiago. There we go. Locking in the... I'm going to try and jinx my team. Who are we going to captain? Michael Keane captain. 100%. Lock it in. Save team. Roll the transfers to the final day. Thiago's a good one. I like that. Calvert-Lewin, Pascal Gross. I mean, this man just... I'm forming a hate-hate relationship with Pascal Gross. Right. Last fan standing. The issue is I don't have Arsenal. No, Keane captain. Keane captain. Who am I going to pick? Who do I pick? I actually should never have picked Arsenal. United? Got to be Spurs. Chelsea, United. Doesn't look good. It doesn't look great, does it? Brentford. I wouldn't be surprised if United win. People saying United. Has to be Everton or United. I don't think I'm picking Everton. I'm not picking City either because they're useful on the final day if I get through. Replies to my tweet. He's going to roll next. I'm going to burn 5 transfers. I'm just going to get to the end of the season. Yeah, if I had Arsenal, I'd go Arsenal this week. Like, if you've got Arsenal, you pick Arsenal. My initial reaction is United. There's only 2,340 of us in. I really want to get through this week, but shouldn't have picked Arsenal a few weeks ago. Brentford, obviously. Really? Good triple captain, 38. Haaland or Salah, probably. Chelsea. Yeah, I'm not picking City. I'll go City on the final day, probably. Yeah, probably. Brentford or Everton. I think it's Brentford. There's a few teams. Brentford, Everton, United, Chelsea. Who has the highest? I think United probably have the highest win percentage chance this week. Do you not think? Oh, that's... I want game week 37. United probably have the biggest disparity. Brentford, Palace are on the beach in the league. Yeah, you're probably right. If you're considering Chelsea at that point, just go Burnley. Hang on a minute. I'm not having that. I'm not having that. Everton. I find this hard. United, Brentford, Everton, or Chelsea. People are saying Brentford. I think it's United or Brentford for me. I don't think I'm going to... I think Chelsea's actually a good pick, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to go Everton. I think it's United or Brentford. I'm not going City. Wouldn't be surprised if they drop points there. Let's see. Brentford, their win percentage. Brentford... You pick a team. If they win, you go through to the next round. And hello, what's going on here? And if they win, they go through to the next round. So win percentage, which jumped up 54 for Brentford. And 56 for United. So nice and helpful. You think Arsenal are going to win the UCL and Prem this season? They'll probably win the Prem and not the UCL. That would be my prediction if I had to pick it. Then why can't you pick Arsenal? I've already picked Arsenal. I picked Arsenal a couple of weeks ago when they beat Newcastle at home. I shouldn't have done it. I think GYOKERS will be 50% owned at my rank. Something like that. What do you think about Mavropanos? I'll very likely own Mavropanos for 38. If the relegation battle is still on, I'm almost certain I'll buy Mavropanos this week. Villa, Liverpool odds just jumped, did they? No, they've been jumping around for a while. Yeah, but let's go last 3 hours. Suddenly, at about 6:20, it dropped for Liverpool. Oh, wow, it did. I mean, it's quite a small graph, but... Is that Villa rotating? I find this so interesting. I could look at this in the build-up to every single game. I know I'm being a little just numbers guy, getting into the detail, but I love it. I ended up rolling my transfer. What's going on here then, Joe? Look at this. What's going on? Well. Looks like Villa might be rotating more than we thought. Oh, I'm going to replace Statman Dave. It's actually just Joe is going to replace Statman Dave. I'm just going to point at Joe's graphs. Interesting. We'll look at those lineups in a minute, but I do actually have to pick someone for this. I'm going... Brentford is my initial... No, but I don't know. How accurate is the graph? So what it does is it takes... What about the Betfair exchange as well? See, that doesn't have it so much. So different bookies have different things. The graph dropped off a lot when Haaland gets benched, as an example. Let's look at the lineups then. Let's have a look. No Alexander Isak or Frimpong for Liverpool tonight, but Mo Salah and Florian Wirtz return to the bench. Joe Gomez comes in to play right back. Gomez, Van Dijk, Konate, Gyökeres, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones, Gakpo, Gravenberch, Rio. Well, that's not great. That front. But then Villa are pretty full strength. Martinez, Cash, Lindelof, Konza, Luka Dean, Pau Torres, Tielemans, McGinn, Buendia, Watkins, Rogers. I mean, which way would the... Because that should have jumped the other way. That's going to come crashing down. That favours... Just rolling my transfers into next season. No Isak in the squad. I mean... right, I need to lock in my club team. I've just got Nathan Ake, not going to keep you. Anything on the loan market? Frimpong, not in the squad. Wharton, James Garner. I'm going to take James Garner on loan. I don't know if he definitely gets in. Could do with a defender, but who are they? Oh, when does the game lock in? In 57, right. I'm going to keep that open. The odds were drifting for Liverpool and shortening for Villa. Watkins starts. Yeah, it's a pretty full-strength Villa lineup, to be honest. Stronger than I thought it would be. Rogers, Watkins. Yeah, pretty full-strength Villa team. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up. We will make 4 transfers for Game Week 38. I promise you that. You have my word that I will make 4 transfers next week. It's going to be an exciting week. I'm going to make 4 transfers. I promise you. I'm almost certain I'm going to bench more Bournemouth points because I'm going to buy Mavropanos. Almost certainly. Maybe I'll try and buy Mo Salah. I'm going to make a goalkeeper transfer on the final day. Who says no? Who has a good fixture on the final day? Going to roll into next season. Might just burn a transfer just for the jokes. Maybe I buy Hermansen. Maybe I sell GYOKERS and I buy Bowen. I go triple West Ham at home to Leeds. Oh, yeah. More Burnley. João Pedro, 2. Fleming. I mean, what an exciting... but then right, I probably won't make a goalkeeper transfer. Hinshelwood out. How much do I have? I've got loads of money. Who do I want? Salah. How do I buy him? I'm 4 million short. Well, I don't buy Bowen. I buy Mark Gui for GYOKERS. Fleming. I can't even afford it. Oh, wait. I sell... No, I'm 0.1 short. I'm 0.1 short. I might have to take a hit. I should have rolled more transfers. I should have rolled more so I had more transfers to buy Mo Salah for Game Week 38. Salah, Haaland, Fleming. I mean, what a lineup. I mean, I could go Diouf, but I want Mavropanos. Hopefully, someone here drops in price this week. Let me have a look. Who's going to drop in price? Or who's going to rise in price that I own? GYOKERS. Is that going to be a GYOKERS second rise for me? I can't tell right now. That might be a GYOKERS second rise, in which case I can afford it. Oh, Tavernier might drop. Well, that's unfortunate. João Pedro might also drop. Well, that doesn't help. I should have rolled more jokes, more transfers. If you have a loan player and draw him, what you have to do is not accept them, release the loan, then go into the little bit where you can accept them. I might be able to afford it. I can't do it right now. Cool. Gonna wrap it up there. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use 4 transfers to buy Mo Salah. Is what it's gonna be. Buy Mavropanos, Salah, Fleming. Is there a cheaper option than Mark Guiu? Is Mark Guiu gonna drop again? Mark Guiu? No. I mean, yeah. You might bring in, I mean, that's probably not what I'm going to do, right? But, so the question is, right, if there's no chaos, right, I probably would sell Van Heck, Verbruggen, maybe GYOKERS, and then maybe something else. But if there is chaos where City, like, let's say the title is over, like, then the situation does change and I do want my transfers. Basically. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely Friday evening. Enjoy your Saturday with no FPL. And yeah, I will catch you all very soon when we discuss how I'm going to use all 4 of these transfers for next week. Thank you all. Bye. And hopefully GYOKERS, I'll have a video out before GYOKERS scores. So yeah, anyway, have a nice weekend and I will catch you all soon.